What is up, everybody? Welcome to AK Plays. I'm AK. Let's play. Alright, today I'm going to be showing you guys the ultimate Nomad build for 1.8.3. Now, I made it in two ways. I'm going to show you guys the solo version and what it should be changed to accommodate group play. Now, I apologize already because I know this video is a little bit longer than usual, and that's because I kind of smashed two build videos into one. So, essentially I'm going to show you guys what it looks like as a solo version, and then I'll tell you the couple of changes you make to show a group version, and I have gameplay of solo, and then after I have group gameplay. So, hope you guys enjoy, but let's get started by taking a look at the build. Alright, so you can see that it is a 6-piece Nomad. We have 5,400 firearms and 7,600 stamina. Now, the 5,400 firearms and 7,600 stamina is a little bit variable. You can go with a tiny bit more firearms if you'd like, if you feel comfortable. I'll kind of explain what area you want to stay in with that in a little bit. But first, let's take a look at the chest piece. You can see that right now, if you want to change that, you can see that you can do a Barrett's. You can also do a Vigorous, which is what I'm going to show you guys in the group version of this build. And I'll explain why in a little bit too. I know it's saying Vigorous right away. You might be like, what? But so here we're going to show you just what the 6-piece looks like. This is going to be the solo version. You can see that that has stamina roll, health, exotic damage resilience, and ammo capacity. And that'll be our chest piece for the Nomad 6-piece. And if you're wondering about the Nomad bonuses, that is what the gear set bonuses are for Nomad. On to our primary weapon, which is the House. And that has Deadly, Vicious, Card Counter, and these are the attachments. And then our backup weapon is a lightweight M4 with Sustained, Predatory, and Determined. And that's going to be used to just finish kills and give you a little bit of a health bonus and a little bit of health gain over time. And your pistol is going to be a Determined, Cool-Headed pistol to get your ult back faster if you need to. And then I'll show you guys the chest piece again. And then the mask is rolled for Stamina, Critical Hit Chance, and Burn Resistance. And your knee pads are rolled for stamina, health, and your minors should be shock, burn, and disrupt resistance. But I need better knees, so let's hope that I get them during this global event. Into the backpack, we are rolled for stamina, health, and burn resistance. On the gloves, we are rolled for firearms, SMG damage, critical hit damage, and critical hit chance. And on the holster, we have critical hit chance. And now, looking at the gear mods, we've got Firearms Crit Chance and First Aid Self Heals. And then on the holster, we've got First Aid Self Heal. On the knees, we have Firearms Crit Chance and First Aid Self Heal. And on the mask, we have Firearms Crit Chance as well. And on the chest piece, Firearms Crit Chance and Firearms Crit Chance. Now, we're going to take a look at the critical hit chance. You can see we're at 60, which is maximum critical hit chance. 112 crit hit damage, good headshot damage, tiny bit accuracy stability, big health on kill, which is actually important with Nomad. When you finish kills, especially with that predatory sustained lightweight, you're going to get a huge health bonus, which is really good for running solo. And we're going to look at some of our abilities. You can see that we're running with a booster shot, using that mostly for its increased damage and damage resistance, but at the same time, I mean, it's a little bit of a heal. Your immunizer, which you all know you have to leave on the ground a little bit longer now for 1.8.3, but it's still really good for keeping off pred bleeds, stopping shock turrets and flame turrets. And then we run a recovery link. Basically, if you run out of lives and you get your recovery link to proc, that's just another life. Our talents, you can see we have Adrenaline, that's going to keep off shock, flame effects, and bleed. Critical save to give us some more resistance while we're at low health. And whoops, not combat medic. We want to put on either strike back or my personal favorite, which is chain reaction. And that's if you're running solo. You're going to want chain reaction or strike back, and then on the move to get you a little more resistance. But if you're running in a group, you definitely want combat medic. So that's why that must have been on there. And now we're going to show you guys again what a vigorous chest would look like. There you go. And it would look similar to this. I have a better picture that I'm going to show you guys after the build video. And then this is what a Barrett's would look like. Both are good versions, but I prefer Vigorous in groups and a 6-piece while solo. But that's just kind of a few different options if you're looking to change things up. But that is the build for solo play. I'm going to show you guys some screenshots of what my Vigorous eventually looked like after I optimized it out. And this is what it looks like on the build. I made sure the Vigorous chest is rolled for firearms because you're in a group, you can run with a little bit less stamina. And I switched out the mod, one of my firearms crit chance mods, I switched to stamina health, because if you're running with a group, you hopefully have someone running a big pulse. I also switched out that house, so it's now a deadly responsive house instead of deadly vicious. And that's if you're running in a group. This is the solo version, the one that whole video was about at the beginning. And you guys can watch. It is a pretty wonderful solo manhunt with Nomad. I go a long time without proccing, and then when I eventually do, it's usually a ton of people are on me. So I'll let you guys enjoy the absolute beastliness of this build. I'll kind of talk you through it a little bit, but I'm going to try to keep my narration to a little bit of a minimum. I say that now, but watch me just narrate everything. So basically, I'm just going to kill everybody at this extraction, and then I had a video yesterday where I had some Nomad gameplay where I did a lot of funneling. This one I tried to fight a little bit more in the open, because I felt like the funneling was a little, I don't know, unnecessary almost, because this thing has a ton of health. The reason we're running it with a little bit of stamina is because I like feeling tanky, so depending on your gameplay style, you might switch it up. I put out a build video about 2-3 weeks ago, which was the Warrior Nomad, and that one had a little more firearms on it. It was a great build and it did a lot of work, but I think for 1.8.3 with the box not giving you a heal when you really need it at that quick drop and pop, you need a little bit more stamina, and your healing is going to scale up a little bit. You can see I did some cutting in this video and kind of edited clips more together. Usually I just fast forward so you can see how I get from point A to point B, but this time I wanted to try to cut the video down because it was like 30 minutes, and I don't think any of you want to spend 30 minutes watching this. I hope I'm entertaining, but I don't think I'm that entertaining. So either way, you can see that I'm fighting other nomads. I'm fighting, I think that guy might have, I don't know, a Deadeye or something, but he's not using cover. He might just not have a normal gun. He was trying to hit me with, I think it was the Tenebrae, so do with that knowledge what you want. So basically, taking on these dudes in the open, trying to use cover as best I can, nade corners, and I believe I was running chain reaction maybe in this clip, so I think I was trying to get nades on as many people as possible. But either way, you can see that when I pull out that lightweight M4 and get finishes, I get that predatory. And when you have the Nomad healing from the gear set hooked on with predatory with this much stamina, you are gaining a crazy amount of health. Honestly, it feels like I'm running 9k stam striker with about 50 stacks, which is really, really cool. I think it's a little bit of a workaround to this nerf, and as I talked about yesterday, Nomad is the best solo build in my opinion for this update. It might not be, it might not feel the same because you don't need to have that crazy accuracy you had with striker. Like you can see, I shoot a little more wildly than I did with the striker builds. Striker, I had to be a lot more accurate. Now I can kind of shoot wildly and have a little bit more fun with it, which I like. That's the one huge positive about not running striker, is I get to be a little more relaxed. Now, I do proc there, which is a little unfortunate. Oh, he sounds pretty upset. Uh-oh. But either way, I do proc there, but I still have my green. And what I've noticed is, if you really want with Nomad, you can choose when you want to die and when you want to live. Really, if you run while you're solo, I don't like to run. I think that's a little bit of a cowardly move. I'll run if I really need to and I'm just trying to get to another place and to try to get a better funnel. But usually I'm not going to run for just the sake of running. But if you really want, you can pick and choose when you want to die with this build. If you want to stay alive, you can just run until you have another proc and let your recovery link act as a whole nother life. If you do that, I don't see you ever dying with this build. You do have to be a good enough player to get the shots and get the kills, or else you're just going to run around with a rank or with a rogue status but no rank. But if you can do that and you just want some more time to go collect medkits and get your proc back, you can run away with this build and end up living a ridiculously long time. I know it's a little early to say this, but I think that this build might be a teensy bit broken. Just for the fact that if you really want to, you could run away and just never die. But I like to fight people, so I obviously do die with this build. I don't know if I do it in this clip. I think that I cut it off because there was a bunch of running and positioning and no kills for a while, so it ended up getting boring. But I will show you guys the rest of this manhunt for the most part. And basically, you can face tank because you don't need to be afraid of strikers. You can take time to aim a little bit better towards the head, And if you take time to shoot the downed enemies with your lightweight M4, it just feels like you have so much stamina and so much healing that you really don't even need to care. So that's why I'm running with a little more stamina than I have done in the past. Is I do like the more stamina, I do like the more healing, and I think it's a really good setup. When I do run with group, though, I switch up the firearms so it's a little bit more, because you have people to mitigate the amount of incoming damage for you. But basically, when running it solo, you want to run with a little more stamina, feel a little bit more tanky so you can take on a bunch of people. And with that much stamina, since everybody else is running with low stamina, it's kind of nice. You can face tank pretty much everybody, and they can't burn you down that fast because you have an extra half a health bar and you're gaining health that they're not. It's something that's pretty insane about this build. Now, I did proc again there because over the time of me fighting, I did get my proc back. Get my proc back. Excuse me, sorry about that, guys. But I did get my proc back, and I hadn't used my green. So I guess even if you're not just running away, even if you're fighting, if you last long enough, you'll get your proc back and have yet another life. It is pretty awesome. It's a little unfair. Ooh, they got to my recovery link. So obviously you can tell, no recovery link, no extra life. If you really wanted to and you were all about the survivor life, you could literally run right now, and with your stamina and the amount of healing you get from the gear set, they would not be able to kill you. And eventually you'd get your proc and your ult back, and you'd be able to continue fighting and carry on the manhunt. I did not. I said, hey, I'm going to stay here and fight. I don't have any business running away. I'm not trying to prove anything. So I basically just continued to fight, and I believe they either gave up and stopped coming, or they got me. This was a couple of days ago, and I went on, like, I don't even know, 10 manhunts with Nomad. This is just my favorite one because it ended up having a lot of good face tanks. It really showed the power of using your lightweight M4 to finish kills, because I did that on almost all of them, which is, I know, the better thing to do. Okay, now, this is the what I did for the team version of the build. I just showed kind of the clips again quickly, but obviously I explained those earlier in the beginning of the video when I showed those pictures earlier. But basically, you're running with a little bit more firearms in a group, but because you have an extra life and you're running with a healer pulse, you need that. If you want to run with the team version of this build with a vigorous, you're going to want a healer with a pulse. And the reason I did that is because I removed a little bit of crit chance not running with a vicious on my house. I took one of the mods off of my gear that's for crit chance and made it health, and I upped the firearms a little bit. So when you go to group, you can afford to do that as long as you have a healer, preferably a reclaimer, and a pulse. The pulse is huge. It'll max out your crit chance. It'll give you a bunch of damage, and with responsive, you're going to be hitting really hard. So you can see that we wiped out a whole team of rogues, and then we decided to go rogue ourselves, and then eventually we drop a rank 5 manhunt, which is awesome. It was a really fun battle, and I love this build. I mean, it gives you the confidence when you have a proc, and you know your teammates are healer, and you know you have teammates with an ult. You have the confidence to charge into people just blindly. Like, all of my teammates at this point had no idea I went down the rope to attack these people. I think I mentioned it, but I didn't like say, hey guys, I'm charging down the rope. I just knew, hey, I have a proc and I'm running with a squad with a healer pulse. I'm gonna be fine. And that's the really cool part about this build, is this version allows you to have a ton of confidence. And I haven't had that for a long time without my striker build. When I run ninja bike builds, when I run different variations of other builds, you don't have that same confidence. You feel like, yeah, I could die, I'm running low stamina, I could get sniped, I could get one-shot stickied. Well, maybe not one shot, but you could get shot with a sticky bomb and be really weak. You get hit with a few frag grenades and go down. With this build, you're going to be doing pretty well. It's got a little bit of EDR, it's got a good amount of stamina, and it's got a whole extra life and a whole half health bar. That is awesome. You're probably not going to die in a quick, unexpected way. You're going to have a good, long fight, and you're going to feel very confident in this build. Now, is this the only build you can run at 1.83? No, definitely not. There's tons of different things you can run, depending on what role you want to put in your group. For me, I wanted to run a kind of all-purpose striker feeling build. Now, this feels as close to 9K striker as you're going to get with 1.8.3. I know it's Nomad, and it's definitely not striker, but honestly, it feels just as good, if not better. I hesitate to say better, but it really does feel really good, and the only reason I say better is you don't need to mind hitting your shots. You can hip fire like I just did there and not worry about losing 30 stacks. So basically, I'm going to stop talking and let you guys enjoy the rest of this, but I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. And that is the 1.8.3 way to run Nomad both ways.